Hello there, welcome to this Back to Basics pattern design class. I'm Michelle, Service Pattern Designer from Queensland, Australia, and in this class we're creating one of the most timeless and versatile patterns out there, gingham. I'll walk you step by step through creating your gingham pattern in Procreate, how to change the colours for multiple colourways, and then to add a little something extra, we'll create a subtle seamless texture overlay to give it more depth and interest. Going to start in Procreate. Let's create a new artboard. We can either choose from an existing pattern tile or we can go ahead and create a new one, which is 3000 pixels by 3000 pixels. DPI can be 150 to 300 and just leave maximum layers as they are, then click create. Okay, now we're going to create your pattern tile. Okay, start by choosing a colour, a nice deep colour, don't make it too light. I'm going to choose just a nice blue for now. Okay, that's going to be my base colour. And then what we're going to do is we want to create 4 layers. So we have 4 layers here now, and we're going to turn that into the layer grid. Let's start with layer 1 and we'll recolour that blue. Yeah, we're going to colour all of them, all layers the same colour. Now we're going to change the opacity. Layer 1, we're going to either leave that at maximum or say turn it down a little, down to 90. Layer 2 is going to be approximately 50%. Layer 3 is going to be the same, we want that to be approximately 50%. Please make layer 2 and 3 the same opacity. Layer 4 is going to be very low, it's going to be at around 10%. Now what we're going to do is resize our layers to create our grid. So let's start with layer 1, where we're going to put that at the bottom right hand corner. So we're going to resize. Now for this part, please make sure that snapping is on. If it's not on, please switch it on because it makes it much easier. Let's move layer 2 to the bottom left. Layer 3 is going to the top right. And layer 4 is top left. Okay. So what we have now is our basic gingham grid. And when this repeats side by side, top to bottom, this is what's going to create our repeating gingham pattern. So let's reduce this down so that we can see our gingham pattern come together. Now instead of, I've duplicated them 4 times, so I've got 4 exact copies, and what I'm going to do is reduce them down just like I did with my grid. This is also a good way to test your pattern to ensure that it is perfectly seamless and that we haven't made any mistakes along the way. But you can see that gingham pattern coming together, and if I continue to reduce these down and repeat this process, this is what helps you generate the size, whether you want a large gingham grid or a small gingham grid. And you can continue reducing that down as much as you like. Okay, in this part of the class I'd like to show you how you can recolor your gingham pattern if you'd like to create multiple colorways, or if you're just not happy with the original color that you had. All you need to do is go through and just select a different color and then apply it to your pattern. And you can keep going as many times as you like, creating different colorways. You know, we might want a pink. Maybe even a yellow. So there we have it. We've got multiple colorways for your gingham pattern. Now I'd like to show you how to add a texture layer to add a little bit more depth to your gingham pattern. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to hide these ones for now. And above my layer, I want to create 2 new layers. Okay, let's hide the gingham layer for now. And I just want to apply a fairly dark pattern to midline color or a dark pattern to my layer that's going to be the background. Okay, this is a temporary layer. It's just helping us with our texture. But now we're going to move on. I want to have layer 7 selected. In your brush library, I want you to come down to textures and select grunge. This is the one we're going to be using for this example. If you have a different one you want to use, you can. Select white for your color and ensure that your brush size is at its maximum for this size. Okay, and all we're going to do is we're just going to lightly draw a texture. Make sure you avoid the seams. Okay, just until you're happy with it. If you come too close to the edge, you're going to see an obvious line. Now what we're going to do is we're going to group them and turn them into, I want to keep that one. This one here, I'm going to group that with my layer 7, but I want to turn it down to 0 opacity, so no opacity. And I'm going to group them together. And the reason I do that is because if in this group, when I do this next step, if I attempt to move just this layer, it's not adding the whole tile, it's just the artwork, so it's not going to create that perfect seam. So what I'm going to do is duplicate this layer so that I've got 4 copies, and then instead of resizing, I'm just going to move. I'm going to move each one so that what was previously the outside is now the inside. Alright, now we can join these together. Repeat that to add your grunge layer into the sections that we missed, being careful not to go near the edges. Okay, we're going to sort of repeat that step again, but instead of duplicating it once, we're only going so that we've got 4, we're going to duplicate it so that we've only got 2. So that we can work on this middle part here. Join them together, fill in your texture, and then we're going to repeat that initial process with 4 duplicate layers. You need to ensure that you're snapping correctly. Otherwise it won't be perfectly seamless and we'll have to redo it all again. Okay. Join them together and just fill in this last part here. So now what you've got is a seamless overlay that you can apply to your texture layer. So what we're going to do now is we're going to delete our temporary layer and we're going to rename this, because we don't want that called temporary. We're going to call it something like overlay. Okay, let's switch our texture, our gingham layer back on. And now you can see the texture layer over the gingham. and it adds that beautiful depth to it. You can also play with the opacity to give different results. You can also change your layer to overlay is a nice one. You can just go through different ones to see what kind of effect works well for the brush you're using or the texture that you're using. I typically find that overlay or soft light is quite lovely. I'll typically use overlay but reduce the opacity a little bit. Okay, now you're happy with your pattern tile, we can go ahead and export. So just make sure that you've only got the layers that you want to export selected. Come across to your toolkit. We want to share image. We don't want to share layers, we want to share the image. Either a JPEG or a PNG is usually sufficient. I like to go PNG. And then we hit save image, export successful, and you're done. Do that for every layer. If you would like a different color saved, you can just go through and repeat the process.